Good morning, friends. We have a busy preserving day. We're going to try some new things. We're going to make a pot roast soup and pressure can that. We also are going to pressure can carrots 2 different ways and spinach. And then we're going to do a sausage, potato, and sausage. I already said that. We're also going to do a sausage and potato and spinach soup and pressure can that as well. But I wanted to show you something. Look at the pantry. Doesn't it look so good? I'm quite proud of it. All right. Let's get in there and start canning. Okay, so the first part of the first soup that we're going to make is our roast beef soup. And I went to Sam's Club and bought a whole bunch of this cubed beef stew meat. And then we got some of our potatoes. I'm gonna wash this up real good, a nice big onion. And then we're gonna use beef broth. I have no more on my shelf left over from last year. That's still something I need to can. And I realized that I'm gonna have to run to the store because I'm out of wide mouth lids. So, yeah. And for the beef stew, pot roast soup, I'm also going to be cleaning up some of these carrots to chop up in there. And then my secret ingredient is to add A1 sauce. So let's get to canning. It's a super easy cold pack method. Pretty much the only thing that takes any kind of effort or work is to clean up your carrots. We're gonna peel them to make sure they're nice and clean, and then cut them up and dice them up. And then the same thing with our potatoes. We're gonna clean those up and dice those up in small. And I'm also gonna cut up the meat a little bit smaller because these cubes are ginormous. So let's get to it. All right, let's head to Target because they said they have 9 left on the shelf. And this is my only day to get this done. So yeah, let's head to Target. All right, so we're off to Target to find some wide mouth mason jar lids. And I was just thought, hey, let's have a little chat. Was anybody ever into 19 Kids and Counting when it was really popular, and then through their whole downfall? I've been so curious about all of it, and I guess downfall is not really the right word, because they're not all bad people just because of what one of the children have done or whatever. But anyway, so Jill Duggar has come out with a book, and I hate to admit this, but I'm not really a big reader. I have a learning disability, which it takes a long time for me to digest what I've read. I have to reread stuff over and over again. But anyway, so I got it on Audible and I binged it within 2 days. It is such a good book. It really gives you insight to how she felt growing up and being on the camera and everything with her brother, and the financial difficulties of trying to get paid by her parents and stuff like that. And I don't know, it really made her more human feeling, like not so much a robot. I was really into the show for a long time because it's so wholesome, or it portrayed to be so wholesome. And yeah, it just shows you there's so much more behind the scenes than what people are privileged to see, which not everybody should see everything. But if you haven't checked out her book, it's called Counting the Cost. I suggest it, just even out of curiosity. If you have any audible points, my husband had quite a few, so I was able to use one of his points. But we're going to be at Target here within a few minutes. Thankfully, we don't have to drive, 45 minutes to an hour to a store. Although my dream was to be way more off-grid. But I'm just thankful for the situation we're in right now, that we're finally homeowners, and I can share my experience and our journey of homesteading with you and how that is for us and how it might not look the same for everybody. But yeah, so hopefully the interwebs did not lie to me and they actually have the canning lids. It says there's 9, so we'll find out. I'll see you there. So the internet wasn't exactly truthful. There wasn't 9, but there's 5, and we got the last of them. Okay, friends, so we have washed and sanitized our mason jars. We have secured our lids, and we've also washed our potatoes. Now I am going to peel up and dice these carrots and the onion, and then by then those should be sterilized, because like my friend said, I was talking about how it's so cool that you can preserve your own food, but you really need to be careful because botulism is scary. And she's like, yeah, no Oregon Trail stuff here. So make sure you sanitize. We want to do good for our family, but we don't want to kill them either. So I'm going to get to peeling and cutting and chopping and dicing and all the rest of this stuff. And then we're going to pack our jars. I know I've said it before, but this is truly one of my favorite kitchen tools, especially for preserving. I got it on Amazon. I'm going to try to remember to add a link for this, but it's affordable and it helps you get everything chopped up really fast and nicely. So I'm about to get to these potatoes. Okay, so friends, we got all of our produce chopped into the right size. I went ahead and did all of it, so because I'm going to need it in the next recipe that I'm going to show you. And there's a few important things that I'd like to tell you. When you're canning potatoes, it says if it's more than 2 inches in diameter to take off the pills. Anything less than that, you don't need to, but I want you to do what you are 100% comfortable with. So if you want to peel all of your potatoes before you can them, then that is what you should do, because you are feeding your family and it's to your comfort level. We got our onions all diced up. I did save some of the carrots long because I'm going to cut them in a different way to make the maple brown sugar glazed canned carrots, which will also be in this episode, this upload. One more little tip. So you could take all of your carrot peels and you can put them in the dehydrator at 175 for, it depends on your elements, you know, where you're at, your zone, your elevation, I mean, how long it will take to dehydrate these. But you can dehydrate these and make them into a powder. Go ahead and put them in like a coffee grinder or a processor if you have them, and then add them to your smoothies, and you can sneak in some more vitamins for your kids or your husband or yourself if you need to. So we have all of the amount that we need diced up, and I'm just gonna feed my scrap pills to my chickens to make some more eggs. And our jars are almost done sanitizing. I like to have them sanitized for 15 minutes. and then we're gonna get to packing our jars. But I just want to thank you guys for joining in today. This is going to be a kind of a long one, so make sure you leave a comment so that I know that you've made it through to this point, and we'll do a little comment check throughout the video. So I'm so blessed to be here and so blessed to have you guys in my kitchen and watching this channel, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Okay friends, our jars have been boiling for 15 minutes, so I believe they are safe enough to start canning. So I'm going to grab some of these and then we're going to start the process, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. Okay friends, so I went and added my lids to the hot water to get the rubber part on the seal all nice and ready for canning. We're going to go ahead and we are going to add our meat to the jars. I do about a handful, it's not precise. The jars are really, really hot coming out, so make sure you don't bump them. Okay. It's kind of like an assembly line from when you're working factory or something like that, or even at fast food when you were a child. Not a child, but teenager, if you ever had one of those jobs. I worked at KFC, that was my first job. It was my favorite job, to be honest. Okay, so now that we got all of our meat in the jars, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my carrots, next up is our potatoes, and then we're going to top it off with onion. Now for the seasoning part, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Make sure you don't use iodine salt, like table salt. It has to be either canning salt or it has to be sea salt, which is perfectly fine. Oh, these onions are strong. Now we're going to grab our A1. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of A1 into each one of these jars. Okay, now that we have added the A1, we're going to go ahead and use beef broth. And like I mentioned, I'm out of my own canned beef broth, so that'll be something I'm canning up soon. I'm only going to add about a quarter of this in here, just up until this line right here, and then I'm going to top it with water because your beef cubes will make beef broth. So this is just in case there wasn't enough fat on them to make it super yummy. So for 8 quart jars, you're only going to need one of these boxes. It's all gone. Okay, so now I'm just going to add water until the 1-inch part of this rim. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our lids that we're going to take out of that hot water that they've been sanitizing and getting the rubber all soft. It just helps make sure that you have a proper seal. So I'm going to go ahead and add the hot water into these now.
The process of canning is just so beautiful. It's so fun to see what each can looks like afterwards. So now I'm just placing it in my pressure canner, and I am making sure that the water is well over 1 inch over my cans. And then I'm closing the lid nice and tight. And then I'm going to follow my instructions to the T. You don't want to mess with pressure canning, but don't be afraid of it.
Okay, so this is only my second year pressure canning, so I used my trusty dusty directions that my husband wrote out for me. Isn't that super sweet? So I'm going to set the dial to steam, and then I put the lid on. Then once it starts steaming, I'm going to wait about 10 minutes because I want to see good steam, like where you hear psh, kind. And then we're going to dial it to 2 and let it do the steaming for like about another 10 minutes, which is until you hear like the whistling sound of the steam. And then we're going to set our timer for 90 minutes. That's what we need to do at this elevation, my elevation for meat. So I'm excited. Thanks for canning with me today on our little homestead. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining. I thought I was super proud last year, but this year I'm even more proud. And every year I add a little bit more to my pantry of everything that I've grown and preserved. And I think that's just really cool. Just really, really cool. So let's go give these to the girls. And then we have about 2 hours worth of time to kill. I'm not going to have you hang out with me for those 2 hours because I know you're busy people and you got stuff to do too. Girlies! Girly girls! I already gave them the tomato treats from this morning. So their coop looks a little bit messy right now, but to be honest with you, I don't really even know if they like carrots. But we'll find out. If not, it's almost time to clean out the coop anyway for fall. I'll just scoop it all up and put it in the compost bin. It will not go to waste. So, all right, Mama almost escaped. And those will be processing, and I'll be able to put them on the shelf here soon. But since I've had so much time, I have gone and made things a little bit easier, and it's going to speed up this video because I'm not sure if you guys like the long content or the short content. I think you're still trying to figure out me, and I'm still trying to figure out to what, length that you guys like to watch. So I took the time and I did a cold pack method with my diced carrots, and all I did was add all of my carrots in here, and I added a teaspoon of salt. You can leave the salt out. That is just a taste. It's not necessary. And then I put the lid and the rim on, and then they're just waiting. They're waiting for the opportunity to be pressure canned. I only have one, so it's it's a process. It takes time. Anywhosen, so then I went and prepped my other carrots, which I cut them long ways, and I am going to show you how to make the syrup that goes over top of these carrots. And I just have the lid on them right now because I'm under attack from fruit flies, and I just don't want to, contaminate any of our food. So now I'm going to get to this spinach, and I'm going to cut this up really small using those special scissors. And then I'm going to get these in the jar waiting with water. And then I am going to add a little bit of garlic to some of them. And then, then we'll move on to the soup. So this is what I'm talking about. The level has started to rise. It's almost at 2. Once it does that, then I am going to, see, you can hear that steam. It's starting to build up. Once that happens, I'm going to turn down my stove just a little bit to make sure that this does not go above 2. But I'm not going to start my timer until this is a heavy spout, and I will show you what that is. And then we'll get Alexa working for us and have her set the timer. So I'm going to get to cutting this spinach. Okay, so I came into the pantry because the kitchen is pretty loud right now with the pressure canner. And so I'm just going to walk you through our sausage, potato, spinach soup. What we're going to do is we are going to take a 16-ounce box of chicken stock, or if you have some canned broth, like I have some turkey, and I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And then I'm going to put sausage in the jar, my potatoes in the jar, the spinach that I cut up, and then I'm also going to take some garlic, which I've already, peeled and then diced up, and I'm going to place that in the jars with some salt, some sea salt, and then I'm going to lid them, rim them, and get them in the pressure canner along with the other stuff. Now, let's go make our syrup to go over our candied carrots. Is really what it's like. So let's make that syrup. I'm going to speak over that video because it's so loud in there, and I think it'd be kind of goofy to come in here every time.
Okay, so to make your brown sugared candied carrots, you're only going to need 1 measuring cup. Isn't that great? So you're going to use a cup of brown sugar, a cup of OJ of your favorite kind, and then I am also going to add about a tablespoon of honey, and then a cup of water. Then I'm going to put this on to come to a boil and then bring it down to a simmer. And then I'm going to pour them over top of my carrots once it's cooled down some, because you don't want to shock the jar and cause it to accidentally break. Well, friends, it has been a long day. I am finally signing out at around 11 o'clock. I snuck in a little bit more canning behind the scenes, but now I'm just going to go ahead and mark off these jars. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And if no one's told you today that you are loved and you are so valuable, here's a reminder. You are so loved and you are so valuable. Until next time, see you later.